Welcome to episode 70 of The Longest Turn, Top 50 Games of All Time, Part 3. My name is Tyler.
Hello, this is Kevin.
This is Tyson.
In this episode, we're going to finish our top 50 countdown with each of our top 10 games of all time.
The best of the best.
Oh, yeah. It's been a little bit of a delay since our first two episodes in the top 50.
Yeah, about 3 weeks of a delay.
Life stuff.
My fault. I'll take ownership of this one.
Said farewell to a member of the podcast.
That's right. The horrendous bump on my shoulder we've named Gary, or we named him Gary. Gary is now gone. So I had shoulder reconstruction surgery about 2.5 weeks ago.
I'm sitting here looking at you across the table and just feeling this. Something's missing, and
I know.
I feel
it's
sad.
Gary. It's Gary. Yeah. Gary's gone, but it was fun. We had a farewell to Gary party, which was a good time. So, also it was close to my birthday, but whatever. It was Gary's party.
That's better.
Yeah.
You have too many birthdays, anyways.
I know. So yeah, but we're here now recording. This is great.
Yeah. So, should we just jump into it?
Let's do it. Let's jump
That's
right
what we've
into
been
it.
doing. Let's just continue with the pattern.
All right, let's just jump right in pattern. I've been listening to Stormlight Archive a lot lately, so I want to do pattern voice. But we're going to jump right into it.
Okay.
Kick us off with your top 10, Kevin.
Yeah, my number 10. No shock to anybody, I'm sure. This was also my number 10 last time we did this list, and it is Dominion. Dominion. If you've listened to the show, you know I'm a huge fan of Dominion. Actually, a new expansion just got released and delivered to my house called Dominion Rising Sun. I think this is the 18th expansion, I want to say.
I mean, who's counting at this point?
I know. I mean, who can count that high? They said they were going to be done, I think, 5 or 6 expansions ago, but they're still going strong, which I am all for because I love Dominion. It's the original deck builder. It spawned a whole genre of games. Most games that come out now with the deck building mechanic have it as a part of the game, not the entire game.
I've got one of those. I've got top 10.
Oh, yes, you do. I know which one it is. But this game, it's a pure deck builder. That is just all it is, right? You put out 10 kingdom cards. There's so much variety in this game because you can mix and match any expansion with any other expansion. So no two games that you play are alike. So every game plays out differently. They've added more complexity to the game throughout the years. There's events. There's new stuff. I think debt in this new expansion that I'm excited to explore because it's something new. I love opening up a new Dominion expansion, opening the cards, smelling the cards because, there's new.
They smell better than other deck builder cards?
For me, yes. And then sleeving them because you have to sleeve them. And then you organize them. And I've got like this fun storage solution where we take a normal box, divide it into 3, and it's line cards up in the box. So I can consolidate, 2 or 3, sometimes 4 if it's a smaller expansion into one box. So I've got to do that for the new one. But fantastic game. I'm excited to explore this new expansion. Definitely deserves to be a top 10 game for me. That's Dominion.
It's amazing that you mentioned Dominion is basically a genre-defining game, right? And I think there are very few genre-defining games that aren't eventually bested. Not to say that there isn't improvement on Dominion and like games out there that do the mechanisms better, but the fact that they're continuing expansions, 18 expansions later, and you just got a brand new one and it's still going, like it's a feat.
Just milking it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they weren't making money,
Exactly.
they would not be putting out expansions. So there is a huge fan base for Dominion still, even after 18 expansions.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that
exactly.
Like, there's not a lot of games that start the genre of the game and then is continued to be so beloved.
Their status.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Completely agree. I mean, they're doing something right. It's a great design. So I hope they keep putting out expansions. The way they're going, I think they probably will. I guess we'll see. So my number 10.
So your number 10, Kevin, was also your number 10 last time.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, my number 10 is also my number 10 from last time. I promise there will be some diversity later on this list. And
wait, it's Dominion? It's Dominion? No?
It is not Dominion.
Oh, okay.
It is a Mind Clash game
Nice.
But it is not a Mind Clash game that you guys have played.
Oh, I know what it is.
It's Trickerion Legends of Illusion.
Nice.
This is designed, obviously, or published, obviously, by Mind Clash Games, but it's designed by Richard Amon and Victor Peter. And this is, I've mentioned this on the podcast before. This was like my Grell game for the longest time. It was out of print. It was really hard to find. I had to buy a copy of this secondhand, and then I had to piecemeal it together to get all the expansion content and the big box and everything for it. And I finally got it. I love that this game is so thematic. It is, you are magicians performing tricks and trying to put together these tricks by constructing the devices that you will use to put on the performances, as well as you're trying to go out and put those performances on and on specific days of the week, which are going to garner you better points as you do it in certain high trafficked days. And you're doing marketing, you're doing all this stuff that's actually, I think it's really fun to see how an illusionist is going to go and put together their whole show. And I know that I'm looking at Tyler and he's shaking his head. You can't not
Illusions,
think
Michael.
Illusions, Michael.
Arrested Development when you think of that, right?
Yep.
And that's every time we play this game, that reference will come up. But I love this game. I think it's fantastic. I wish I got to play it more. We already mentioned this game briefly in earlier on the top 50 list when Tyler mentioned Luthier, and I mentioned that they're similar. I really liked Luthier. It is a shorter game. I'm hoping that as in the future we start playing that game more when it arrives, we will maybe it will replace this a little bit. I'm hoping not. I hope we actually just get to play Trickerion at some point.
I would love to. I still have
You have it.
an unplayed copy that I picked it up in the parking lot of an AMC during COVID.
Yep.
And Kevin was there picking up Last Will from the same guy.
We're all masked up. So it's
Weirdest drug deal ever.
yeah, it did look like I didn't think about that, but it seemed like a drug. No, it's board games. I got Last Will, and yeah.
Yeah, so I still have that copy unplayed, so I would love to try this out. And pretty much everything Mind Clash does is top production, top quality. So
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is the game that originally turned me on to Mind Clash. I hadn't played it. I played Anachrony first, but I saw Trickerion first, and I wanted to play that one. And then my wife purchased Anachrony for me, and I loved that one. But then I finally got Trickerion, and it is amazing. I love it. So yeah, that's my number 10, Trickerion, Legends of Illusion.
Nice.
So my number 10 was previously my number 8. It is Tyson's number 20, so a little bit of crossover. It is Area Control Dudes on a Map game by Eric Lang, Ankh, Gods of Egypt. I love this game. I love all the experiences that I've had playing this. I remember the epic game where Kevin and Tyson merged their gods, and it was 2v1, and
Super
we
close.
went back and
Yes.
forth for
Yeah, that was fun.
just some of the most engaging event battles. It was just epic. I love playing this with Logan. We play 2-player a lot, and we'll finish a game in an hour. I just love the decisions that you have in this game, starting with the action selection board. You generally get to pick 2 unless you trigger an event with your first action. So you're doing things like moving figures on the map, summoning figures, gaining followers, unlocking Ankh powers, and making your god more powerful. Also, that you can win these regions and score devotion off of these regions when the ever so often conflict event is triggered. And then you go region by region. Whoever's in that region, they're using their god powers, their guardians that they have. Each player is selecting a card from the same deck that everyone starts out with in their hand and trying to score devotion. That may be by winning the battle or by losing the battle on purpose. Just some interesting, awesome things going on. I love the god dashboard, making your Ankh power, making your god super powerful. I don't know. I just think this is a fantastic game. Beautiful miniatures. I've got the play mats. Just awesome game. I love playing with the auction for the Guardians. I think that just makes the game extra special. I love the God merging. I've seen that have maybe one bad experience for players in a game, but it was also like the first time we played and it was a 5-player game. But I don't know. I think that aspect just changes the game so much and just makes it so cool when you get to combine with someone else's powers and start doing just incredible things if they synergize really well with each other.
I love the clever tactical decision making that goes on in this game in so many layers, right?
Yes.
Whether or not that's switching to like a merged god, and now how do these powers intertwine, and how do I use that to my benefit to kind of come out on top, or if it's even just those events you were talking about, right? Like, can I time this right to be able to get the thing that I want, to be able to combo into an opportunity to take advantage of the board game state, and I really love that about this game.
And trying to decide which card you're going to play for each region's battle, and you know what? I'm not going to get a lot of points from this last region's battle, so maybe I should refresh my cards so I'm setting myself up for the next conflict event. And just cool decisions. Trying to get to the top of the devotion track first. It's very interesting how often it comes down to one
timing or
one
who's
card
on
play.
top and who gets to move first.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned that refreshing cards again. Like I love, like, again, that tactical nature of I've seen my opponents, what they're playing, and I have a good idea of what's left in their hand potentially. But then they decide to refresh, and now I have to adapt my strategy around how the fact that now they have a lot more options. So what am I going to do about it? Yeah,
I love that.
Fantastic.
So cool. That's my number 10, Ankh, Gods of Egypt.
All right, my number 9. This one has already been mentioned twice. 11 for Tyson and 22 for Tyler. So this game oozes theme. It is probably one of the most thematic games that I have ever played. This is Arkham Horror, the card game. We've already talked quite a bit about this one. This is designed by Nate French and MJ Newman. It's published by Fantasy Flight Games. I love this game. I just think it's fantastic. I talked about deck building. This game has deck building. You build a deck and then you bring the deck to the game. I love the customization that goes into your deck, the thought process of what am I going to bring to this game. I love that it's a cooperative game. Everybody's working together. Yeah. I love that it is the story that unfolds and the surprises that happen is just amazing. And it's like a horror movie that's playing out in your mind that you're enjoying with your friends.
Yeah.
Right?
Who's the sacrificial lamb gonna be?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And that's cool that stuff like that happens. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to die, but it's for the betterment of the team. Like we can have a better chance of winning. I just think it's awesome. This game is fantastic. I want to play it more. It is a little bit hard to table. We have a campaign currently going, and we haven't gotten back to it in a long time. But every time we talk about it, we're like, we got to get back to this campaign.
Cabin Con's coming up soon.
Right. We should do it. We started the campaign at the last Cabin Con. Yeah.
And we've played since, but it's time to get it back to the table again.
That's right. I think we should absolutely do that. Expansions for days. So if you like this game, you can get expansions and play it forever. There's just so much content for this game, and they're still putting out content like Dominion.
Yeah.
So they're still putting out content. So fantastic game. That is my number 9, Arkham Horror, the card game.
My number 9 was also my number 9 last time we did this list.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
I'm going to read the first sentence of the description on BGG. Let's see how many words it takes for you guys to realize which game this is. Starting with the first word: disrupt the ritual and slay the elder gods in
Cthulhu Death May Die.
Cthulhu Death May Die?
Cthulhu Death May Die.
Okay.
Is my number 9
This
game
was
of all
only
time.
9 on your list
Now,
last
9?
time?
It was only 9 on my list last time. You guys have played it far more than I have.
I play this game a lot.
Yes. I've played it a good amount, but not nearly as much.
You will be playing a lot
I do not own the game myself.
Right?
like you said, Kevin, I am getting a copy here soon with the new Kickstarter delivering, supposedly.
After it's been out in retail for 6 months, but
Yeah, well, that's another story.
But I'm excited to get my copy finally. I'm excited to get. Hopefully, when we all get our copies, we're going to start playing this again
we
more
will.
and explore this new content. And I wouldn't be surprised if this moves up in the rank. But one of the things that surprises me, and this is one of the reasons why it's lower in my top 10, but it's still in my top 10.
Still top 10, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yep.
But typically these words, co-op and dice chucker, are not games that I like, right?
Let's have a co-op game with a bunch of random chance.
Yep. Those are two things that, like, if you describe that to me, hey, that's how you're presenting it to me, which is how it's presented on BGA or BGG for the first sentence. I would be like, nah, that's not for me. But
I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars on this game.
The allure to this game is so appealing to me because it creates moments every single time, right? Like Arkham Horror, kind of like you were talking about, Kevin, creates moments and experiences. It creates a thematic, cinematic kind of reel in your mind as you're playing it. And even out on the table, because the figures are so beautiful and like everything about it is like top-notch presentation.
The art's awesome.
Art is fantastic. I love the insanities and the different things that everybody have to be afflicted by and how you have to adapt to those type of experiences.
They're weaknesses, but some of them can be made strengths in certain situations and manipulating that.
And some can create hilarious situations.
Psychotic outbreaks is my favorite.
Catatonic.
I'm going to sit in the corner and drool on myself.
In the room with 50 monsters in it.
I also really like Pyromaniac.
Like, I love Pyromaniac.
Especially in the scenario where there's all the fire... what are they? I can't remember what the creatures are called, but they basically burn everything.
Fire vampires.
Yeah.
Fire vampires. Yeah.
And I love being a pyromaniac in that scenario because it's just...
You go in and set everything on fire and then you leave.
Exactly. It's great.
One of the things that I absolutely love about this game is it is so easy to bring in new players and introduce it to new players because you can give a brief overview and then just start playing. And it's not a hidden trader game, so you don't have to explain every last rule in detail. You can teach it as you play, and that makes it such an
Which means you can
thing.
teach it in like 5-10 minutes and then get playing. And even if somebody doesn't understand the rules altogether, they start to pick it up within a turn or two and very quickly understand the dynamic of the game and how to go about it.
Yeah, I love how every character is different. You mentioned the insanity. As you get more and more insane, you get more and more powerful. But there's a delicate balance because if you go too insane, you die. But as you get like to the end of that track, you have so many abilities. You get so powerful and you're rolling so many dice. It's a good feeling. It's just awesome. Fantastic.
Well, and regardless of the outcome, so like Dice Chucker, I don't like the randomness, right? Usually. But you can build up all that dice pool and then roll stuff, and you could get a terrible outcome, and yet that creates a moment that is just so fun and hilarious.
You can pull a Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's hilarious, right? And you don't care. It's one of those games where you don't care if you die because you epically die, or there's some crazy scenario which made you die. You're like, this is amazing.
You're rolling like 14 dice and you can't get more than one success.
Yeah, blanks every time.
And if you die quickly, it's easy enough to reset and just start again or play a new scenario and have fun with it.
That's awesome.
The variability and the interchangeable modules that go into it. Yeah, fantastic game. So that's why this is my number 9, Cthulhu Death May Die.
I suspect maybe we'll hear this on other lists.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we'll see.
I kind of want to keep talking about it, but my number 9 is a beige Euro that I absolutely love. It's a bag builder, the best bag builder.
Okay.
Orleans, designed by Rainer Stockhausen, came out in 2014. This game is played over 18 rounds. Each round has a different effect that is applied at the end of the round. But you start out with 4 unique followers, and you put them in a bag and you draw them out, and you start allocating them on your player board to get more followers and to get other bonuses. There's a bunch of tracks you're going up on while you're
tracks.
increasing your followers that you're adding to your bag. each location that you go to has 2 or 3 different follower requirements. So like to get a monk, which is basically a wild, you need a trader and I believe a scholar. And then you get that monk in your bag and it can go anywhere on your board the next time you pull it out. There's not only that, but there is a board that you are moving your merchant around. And there's a bit of an area control aspect because you can build
guild halls.
Guild halls. Yeah, I wanted to say trade or something, but they're guild halls. So you're moving around this board collecting not resources, but materials like cloth or cheese or whatever, wheat. But you're also moving to different cities for you to then build guild halls, and only one guild hall can be built per city except for in Orleans. So, and those guild halls are part of a multiplier scoring at the end of the game. You're trying to collect as many citizens. It's a race to get the best rewards on the beneficial deeds board, which the action that you do for that, you're basically culling followers from your bag. There's just lots of awesome, amazing decisions. This is easily my favorite bag builder. It's a feel-good bag builder. Even if you get a bad draw, there's always something for you to do. And as you get more knights, you're increasing the number of followers that you pull out of the bag. Played over 18 rounds. Absolutely love this game. It's on Board Game Arena, maybe in alpha still.
I think it's a beta.
Have you guys
now.
played it on Board Game
I've been
Arena?
playing it a ton.
A lot.
Oh, really? Okay. I've not played it.
It just
yet.
makes me so happy that it's on there because it
You
has
lose
been
that
a
tactile
blast.
feel.
You
though,
absolutely
A little
do,
bit,
of drawing
yeah.
from
Yeah.
the bag,
Sure.
and like with playgrounds, I sometimes forget
to check what the
playground is, and then I don't get the feeling on BGA of, am I gonna draw one of the ones I don't want to draw versus one of the ones that I'm okay with losing, or one of your starter ones that don't get lost.
You do
right?
miss out on that a little bit. I haven't had it happen yet, but I've been afraid that I'll select the monk action and it'll be one of the rounds that you can't get monks in. That hasn't happened yet, but that's basically the only time I check to see what the round...
They've done a good job, so they'll put an exclamation point next to actions that you can't take this round, or that you don't yet fulfill the track. Or like you have a guild hall in the place that you're currently in. It has an exclamation point saying, hey, you may not want to put a guild hall down because you can put them there and you can leave your workers on a board from round to round. But I think the interesting thing about that is you can allocate it for future rounds, but by doing so, other players can see what's on your board and what you're planning on. And turn order matters in this game.
It's huge.
Because the individual workers, or whatever they're called, craftsmen and traders and whatnot, are finite resources. So if somebody gets a turn order before you, they can take the last one before you. I had that experience recently with a scholar, and I was like, no, Tyler's going to get this last scholar before me, which means I can't run up this track anymore in the way, and the further you go up on the scholar track, it also puts you on the book track and incrementally
part of the
larger amount.
Multiplier at the end of the...
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I similarly, I saw that we were both one space away from getting the citizen on the night track. And I was like, oh, dang it, Tyson's going to go before me. So I'm not even going to go for that action this round. Expectation that you're going to get it. But yeah, every time I play this, I absolutely love this game. Teaching it to new players is a little overwhelming just because of there's a couple of big stacks of place tiles that you can get that give you additional actions. Yeah. And I would say that's the one kind of negative for me, but there's tons of expansion content.
And you can look through the whole stack, right? So you need to know, if you're going to want to play competitively, you need to know what all those are in the stack,
there's
right?
definitely a house rule there that is worth employing.
Right. Flip over 3 and choose from those or whatever. I don't know.
But I also think that the good thing about this game is that even though having a knowledge of that can be beneficial to whatever strategies you're employing, you could still win the game without getting a single one of those tiles.
Yeah,
and I have done that. Like, ignore that track altogether so you don't get additional action spaces. And I think that's the fantastic thing about this game is that there are multiple routes to victory, even though it seems very simple.
That's a sign of a good game when there's no dominant strategy, at least, one that hasn't been found.
Is it the engineer that lets you put out little cogs that cover up a space? So now doing that action costs one less follower of that
only
specific
farmers,
type.
because
Just the first one.
You're right. It has to go on a farmer for the first one, and then subsequent ones can go on any.
Yeah, and so that's a total different way to play. You can try and get a bunch of knights and start drawing tons out of your bag, or get those cogs out and make all the actions cheaper. I don't know. I
got to get playing this game. I think we played. I introduced you to this game.
You did
a long time ago,
and I think I instantly bought it.
Yeah. And I have not played it nearly as much as you guys have, but the fact that it's on BGA, I got to get playing this.
All right, we'll send you an invite
for sure. Right, let's do it.
And there's tons of extra content, but the base game alone is
sufficient.
Amazing. Orleans was previously my number 3, so it fell a little bit.
It was 3 last time.
It was. Yeah.
Wow.
Got some new blood on the top 10.
Yeah.
There's so many great new games.
Yeah.
So that's my number 9, Orleans.
All right. My number 8 was my number 5 on the last list. I play this game all the time. I have almost 100 games, I think, on BGA. This is Memoir 44. Fantastic game. I absolutely love this game. I have so much of the physical content. I haven't gotten that out for a while because it's a little bit harder to table because there's quite a bit of setup time. But this game's amazing. We mentioned I had shoulder surgery recently, so I had a lot of time to play BGA. And I think it was the Wednesday. I had surgery on Monday. I think it was that Wednesday morning. I was just, sitting in pain on my couch. Like, I want to play a game of Memoir 44. So I sent Mark an invite, and he just happened to be on. And we played through a full game of Memoir 44, both sides, because the way that you play is you play one side and it's asymmetric. Most of the scenarios are asymmetric, right? So one side has a little bit more of an advantage. You play one side and then you flip around and play the other side. This was one of the most exciting games of Memoir 44 I've ever had. It came down on both scenarios to like the last die roll. Mark was trying to escape off the map. And if you escape off an exit point, then you get a victory point towards that game. I had this one die roll that I was taking out one of his units, and if I got it, then I won that side of the scenario, and I won. And then it flipped around the other side, and it came down to the same thing in the next game. And it was just, we were like like texting each other or whatever, the chat in the game, and we're like, holy cow, that was amazing. It was so awesome. The variability in this game is you get more expansions, it adds more things. There's night rules where the visibility is low, which is really fun. It just adds a different dynamic to the game. We've been playing a few of those scenarios lately where you can't see past 1 hex away, and then there's a die roll in between every turn. And if it's a star, BJ does all this for us. But if that's like a star or something, then visibility becomes a little bit greater. So your artillery is less effective. So you got to get your units up. It's super tactical. Luck of the roll is in this game as well. But I don't really care because it's a quick game and it's fun. And when you have die rolls, it makes for exciting things that happen in the game, which is fantastic. So one of my favorite, World War II games, this and Undaunted. Nice. Fantastic.
And who can forget that 18-player Overwatch game that we played? Or Overlord? Overlord.
Yeah, Overlord is up to 8 players.
Oh, okay.
I think we played 6, 3 on each side. That is a fantastic way to play as well. I know you're not a huge fan of that, but it was. I think it was fun.
It was fun.
I absolutely love it.
It was fun to see Mark just tear it up.
Yeah, just command us all and tell us what to do. And we're like, all right, you're right. That is the right choice.
See, what's fun about it is Mark and I are very evenly matched in this game. You look at our rankings on BGA, and we're like leapfrogging each other over and over again, right? Which is really cool, and we're just very evenly matched. So a lot of the games are just really close. So
that's what you want in a 2-player asymmetrical game like that, right? Like you want that experience to have somebody to be able to be competitive against. But I think the good thing about Memoir 44 is that even if you're not like evenly matched with somebody, I think the theme in this game is really good, that you can appreciate it independent of your skill level, and being able to flip side after having seen what your opponent did helps you to prep and be like, oh, that's how he beat me.
Yep.
Now I've got a better idea of how to play in general. So
I'm
I think
try some of that too.
Yeah, exactly. I think it makes it for a good experience, even for beginners.
And what's cool too is the card play is so fun because you're either activating the left, center, or right flanks. There's some other cards in there as well where you can activate anywhere, but you can get kind of stuck with, I only have right flank cards. Like, how am I going to make this work, right? I have stuff I want to do over on this side of the map, but I can't do it because the cards aren't coming up my way. But when you can, successfully, pull off something when it's not exactly what's in your mind is cool too. That's a lot of fun. So fantastic game, designed by Richard Borg and published by Days of Wonder. That's my number 8.
Your number 8.
My number 8.
Previously your number 5.
That was previously my number 5, yes.
That's a war game.
Wait a minute. Is it going to
My
line
number
up
8 is also my previously
number?
my number 5, and it is a war-style game.
You're lying.
I'm dead serious. look at how in sync we are.
This is amazing.
All right, it's not Memoir 44, though. It's Scythe. We've
nice.
already talked about
Nice,
Scythe in this list. I think that Tyler mentioned it earlier on in his list. But I love this game. Like I said, it was previously my number 5. It's fallen down slightly, but not by much at all. I have recently gotten an opportunity to play this game as it's been released on BGA, so I've started playing it more, and some of the original feelings I've had when I first played this game are coming and rushing back to me. I remember playing this game for the first time, and I had sought out this game. I set up a game, went to a board game cafe. I invited some random people to play this game, and some guy came from an hour away because it was hard to find a copy of it, and he's like, I'll play. And I had some friends who were playing with me, so it was really fun to do that. And then to see how to play that game, how everybody has an asymmetric faction, and you can play up to 5 players. You're going through trying to keep your resources in your control, which are put on the main board and could be captured by anybody, which I found out very quickly.
Which is a mind-blowing concept.
It was, and I didn't have a good conception of how that worked. And I remember somebody walked right through it, grabbed my stuff, and I was like, now I can't do anything that I had planned on. Yep. So this is it was a little bit of a bittersweet moment to see that that's fantastic. I have to defend my people as well as my resources independently in a geographic area, right?
And I don't want to be sent back home.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Going all the way back and then having no resources, can't even collect from that. If you don't have the river walk ability to be able to get to that location as easily, it can be really difficult. But I love this game, and I love the choosing an action, and then you can't use that action for a round. You have to choose an alternative action. And so how do I maximize the things to be able to get what I want so that I can then do the actions coming up? The future planning in this game is really well done. Yeah. I have had a great experience with it every game I've played it.
And when you can put those action selections in order and they are all optimally carried out with you being able to do the bottom bonus.
Top and bottom, yeah.
Top and bottom,
action,
it just feels amazing and just feels great. I don't know.
That's
such a cool concept.
That's the key to the game. It's like, how quick can you get your, because it's an engine builder, right? Mm-hmm. How can you get your engine going where you can do top row, bottom row actions every time, right? Or almost every time. You have a huge advantage if you can do that, it's a fun puzzle.
Well, and I love that each of the faction boards are going to be different every game you play, right?
Yep.
And how they prioritize what types of actions you would do.
Yep.
Like some of the bottom row actions will give you 3 coins for doing a specific thing, right?
Yeah.
And some will only give you 2, and one will give you none. So you have to, even if you're playing with the same faction every time, you will get a different way to play that faction, and how do you prioritize those actions to be able to maximize your potential outcome with that. And I love that.
I love looking at my faction board and then my other mat and then looking at where, the board state and say, okay, this doesn't match up, or this does match up. like how am I gonna make this work, and what's my strategy going to be for this game? Because I think you have to do that to start off the game if you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, if recruit has 3 coins, when I do that every time, okay, I hope I have available resources where I can recruit.
Yes.
That's cool. That's a lot of fun.
Or you could be used to trying to move your, is it enlist that takes the cube from the top row and then puts it in the bottom row?
Upgrade,
right. So like you upgrade, you take a cube from the top row so that it improves the top row action of whatever you're doing and put it on the bottom row to decrease the cost of whatever bottom row action you're doing.
Kind of like the cogs in Orleans.
Oh, there you go.
Very similar, yeah. But I love how that works and makes it so that you're trying to maximize different things. And I usually like to do that action a lot, but then you get a board that's like, hey, you don't really want to go for the upgrade action very much.
If you want to win, don't do this.
Like, how do I make it work? Because I love the upgrade action.
Yeah. Plus, this game has mechs.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like mechs? It's awesome.
I don't have the metal mechs, but I mean,
no, I don't have those.
Is it you that has the mech that the top?
Oh yeah,
the white one. I think.
Yep.
The top half is separated.
It would be fixed with a little glue, but I've never got around to it. Now it's just the special mech. Yeah.
But yeah, that is my number 8, Scythe.
So that was Scythe was my 21, and it was Kevin's 19 on this list.
Yep.
Yeah, they were like back to back with you two. You guys were really close, and so I couldn't remember who put it where. Yeah.
Dropped a little bit for me, but still fantastic game. I think we mentioned this before. We recently got to play on the table, Tyler and Logan and I, and it was just so much fun. To play that game again. So great game.
Needs to be at Cabin Con.
I think so.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, I think so.
My number 8 was previously my number 2 game of all time.
Whoa.
Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, okay.
This is the epic, quintessential Star Wars game. I haven't got into Star Wars wargaming like Legion, and I haven't actually even played this since the last time I ranked it, and that's maybe why it's dropped a little bit. This is, of course, from Fantasy Flight Games, designed by Corey Konieczka. This came out in 2016. It is a sprawling board. It takes a little bit of time to set up and play, but it is an amazing experience. There's a couple dozen different planets in the Star Wars galaxy that are being fought over. The rebels are, of course, trying to outlast the Galactic Empire. They're trying to destroy a Death Star. They're trying to survive, sabotage, keep their hidden base hidden, and just outlast the Empire. The Empire is trying to find the hidden base and squash any chance that the rebels have of building up resistance. Battles take place. There's ground units and space units being deployed across the galaxy, and just chaos and the ultimate Star Wars experience happens. I love this game. It has been a while since I've played, but it is amazing. And when I was looking at it, and it just made me want to get it out and play it because it's been far too long. It is a little bit of a heavy game, but it is an awesome experience. Have you guys played this?
I think I played it one time. Not with the updated rules for the expansion, though. I think that helps a little bit.
It
right?
does. I would never not play with the expansion, even with a new player, because the battles are a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a long one, so I think that's probably why it's a little bit more difficult to get to the table. But we had a good time. I played with Matt, and it's Star Wars in a box, right? Yeah. I think it's a great game.
Yeah, you said this was the ultimate Star Wars experience. I thought you thought that about The Last Jedi, that was the ultimate Star Wars experience.
It. No.
I mean, I said today on Discord that The Last Jedi and Knives Out are that dude's best
Did
movies.
You see what I responded with?
I didn't.
You should go look that up.
There's a teaser to join the Discord.
I gotta look now.
Troll alert.
Yeah.
I didn't even. I've played this one time. I didn't finish my play of the game just because the guy I played with hadn't played it before either, and it was kind of a learning game for both of us. And we kind of ran out of time. But I remember thinking exactly what you said. It's the quintessential Star Wars experience. It really is the Empire versus the Rebels and trying to like maneuver in those dynamics. And I really liked the experience. I'd love to play it more. But do you think, Tyler, that because this is a 2-player game, and I know you have Logan and you often get 2-player games played, but do you think that it being a 2-player game has anything to do with it falling on the list, or just you just haven't had an opportunity to play it as much?
I think just haven't had an opportunity to play it as much. And at this point, I would need we would need to do a rules refresh. So that's also kind of keeping us from getting it out again.
Does Logan like this one?
He loves it. Yeah. Yeah. We've had some great experiences with this. It's just so fun as the Empire to like try and find that hidden base. You know, the rebels can move the base secretly to a different location if they feel like the Empire's encroaching on where it is or close to finding it. Yeah, I want to get this out again. I think it's interesting. In like the 90s, there was a PC game called Star Wars Rebellion, and I had it, and I tried playing it like once, and I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. But if you go look at it, it looks like someone saw that game and was like, okay, now let's make a board game out of it, which is amazing. I don't know how true it is to that video game, but I don't know. It's just such an awesome experience. I need to get this back out. It'll probably be with Logan, but it needs to happen. So that is my number 8, Star Wars Rebellion.
Nice. I've been playing a Fantasy Flight Star Wars game recently. Star Wars, the deck building game.
Yeah.
That game is fantastic.
Yeah, I like that.
That's also a 2-player game. And man, the stories that unfold even in that little quick playing 2-player deck builder is awesome as well.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I'll probably stick with that one. But Rebellion, fantastic experience. It's awesome.
Well, I've got the expansion for that. I just haven't sleeved it yet because
I want that so bad. I need to get that.
Yeah. We almost played the other night after everybody left, but I hadn't sleeved it yet. So a little bit of a hindrance.
Couldn't
there.
play it. Yeah. I mean,
No.
What would that be like?
Completely unplayable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until it's sleeved.
Yes. I still want to play Imperial Assault. That's still sitting on my shelf of shame.
And I've got a
after
ton
years.
of content for that.
I do too.
Yeah. I tried to
have
get a
issues.
campaign of that going at one point, and I've tried multiple times, but it's just hard to get the campaign going. And I played that one. Have you even played it? No, not at all.
No.
I've played through, I think 3 or 4 different scenarios, and it's awesome.
Okay.
It's really good. So let's get that one played.
And then we can do Outer Rim with the expansion.
Done.
We'll just do Star Wars
themed.
Then we'll watch all of the trilogies.
We'll watch everything, all content that's been put out to date for Star
all
Wars.
the TV series,
All the TV
too?
shows.
Clone Wars,
Yeah.
Rebels.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. This is going to be an epic 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. My number 7 is a game that we recently got to the table, which I was so excited that we got this to the table. This is designed by Vladimir Suchy. This is my top-rated Suchy game. It is Pulsar 2849. This game is fantastic. I remember, we told the story before, but I remember playing in my basement the first time we played it, and the dice drafting mechanic, we just all looked around each other and went, this is awesome how this is handled. It is amazing.
It is so good.
Yeah, but we still did that even on this most recent
Yes,
play.
we did.
The best part about this most recent play was something happened that's never happened before.
I won?
No.
Yeah, because that's
Well, that was
That's
awesome.
true.
That was awesome. No,
That is
I was
true.
happy for you.
Yep.
I got to the bottom of both tracks.
That is, yes.
on the dice drafting mechanics.
And you were getting
both
negative
resource
points.
production and turn order.
Uh-huh.
Nobody had ever seen that happen before.
That's true. And in other news, you lost. Yeah.
I did, yes. But the mechanic itself is amazing.
Yeah. So the higher value die that you draft, which are more powerful and you can do more things with them, you're going to have a negative. It's going to take a negative impact, whether that's to turn order or to engineering cubes. Now, engineering cubes are super important because you can take an additional die on your turn, or you need those for endgame scoring, which that was part of the difference in our game that we played. So that whole mechanic, it's like, okay, I'm going to take a lower valued die, but I'm going to move up on a track, or I'm going to take a higher valued die and move down on a track. That decision's hard, right?
Yeah.
And it's super interesting. It's super fun. So that's by far my favorite part of the game. But there's so many other things that are really cool about this game. You have this board. It's my favorite game with the circle board. The board's amazing. And you have all this stuff around it, there's this tech tree. But on the board itself, you have a ship, and you're flying your survey ship around the board. You're discovering new planets. You're putting down cubes that are multipliers for the end of the game. You're getting bonuses if you end there. You're trying to end on pulsars and putting down your gyrodynes, which was really cool about this last game, because we had talked, about how gyrodynes haven't been a winning strategy before. But both you, Tyson, and Dan, you guys went heavy on the gyrodynes, and it paid
crazy
off.
with them.
Yeah, and it worked out.
They paid off that time.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Which is weird, because every game I've played, I've gone for gyrodynes. And like I said, I've never won before.
Right.
And the one time that they worked out was a good game for me. So I felt like I was better at reading the situation this time. But I think this game does a fantastic job at giving you a lot of different options to go for. And it takes the strategic planning of, I want to be able to do these things, because you can see all the technologies and all you can get from the start of the game and where they're going to unlock. But as the dice are drafting unfolds, you may or may not be able to do the things that you want to do. So I love that it's you have a strategy, but you have to make your strategy adapt to whatever the situation says.
It's strategic and tactical,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because somebody could roll, and you could roll almost all ones or something, which happens.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works out, right?
We had like 4 or 5 6s one round, and it was
and then we had some really crappy rolls in the other direction.
Yep.
Another round.
Yep. It's fantastic. There's so many different paths. The variability in this game is off the charts. You have this tech tree that we've referenced, and these tiles are double-sided, and there's just a bunch of them, so you can mix and match. Every game's going to be different. There's the end game scoring tiles. There's a bunch of those. So what I tried to do in this last game is look at the end game scoring tiles, and I'm like, well, there's no gyrodyne bonuses in this game. I'm not going to focus on those at all, So I was fairly competitive in the game, going in a different route. I was third, but because you and Dan did super well on the gyrodynes, but I think it's multiple paths to victory, and I don't think anyone's dominant. You just have to look at the board, look at the specific game, and pick something that's going to work out.
This was by far my worst game. I didn't go up on I didn't hardly go to the tech tree at all. I explored space way more and got all my little markers out, and it didn't pay off for me. I think this shares a little bit like with Praga for me. There's always so much more that you want to do that you don't have the turns or don't have the actions to do. And so it's picking and choosing. Okay, well, I want to do these 4 things, but I can only do these 2 things. And that makes it very interesting and makes those decisions very exciting.
Well, and it makes it so that each turn is relatively short, because you have 2 actions for a turn. And just like you said, Tyler, like you want to be able to do more, but so you're trying to figure out, how do I maximize my turn? I felt like this last game, I had a turn that I was able to actually get 4 actions, maybe even 5 out of it, because you can get that red die to be able to get to do extra things. But I used it in the tech tree, and there were 2 actions in the tech tree that granted me 2 additional dice each time, and so I ended up getting like 4 or 5 different actions, and it's fun to see. This is Suhi. Like, I love seeing those comboing actions and finding ways to make them cascade and get the opportunity to do more than what you're typically allowed to do.
Yeah. There's so much to explore in this one. It's awesome. So that's my favorite Suhi. My number 7, Pulsar 2849.
This is a little bit of a crime maybe, but I didn't have a single Vladimir Suhi game crack my top 50. They were all just above 50. I like all of them, but it just didn't happen for me this time around.
I definitely think that for me, Pulsar is my favorite of all the Suhis, but and I can see that. that it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah, not for everybody. Not every game's for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But Pulsar's fantastic.
All right, so my number 7 was previously my number 2. It's fallen a little bit. It is Blood Rage. This is designed by Eric Lang, and it is published by Come On, Cool Mini or Not. It is the first of the trilogy that includes Ankh that Tyler just mentioned recently, right? I love this version of this figures on a map kind of tactical war game in a mythological kind of setting, and that's what Blood Rage, Rising Sun, Ankh all do really well. But for me, Blood Rage takes the best of those because of all that it does. I think that there are a few games that do drafting as well as Blood Rage does. And the reason I've recently started playing this again on BGA, and the reason I think that is because Blood Rage occurs over 3 ages, and you're going to be drafting a set of cards for every age. And what I love about it is that if you know these cards, what you're doing is drafting your strategy from age 1 and trying to make sure that you're going to draft the cards that work with it throughout age 2 and 3 as well. So you can get a Loki strategy or a Thor strategy or a number of other strategies that you can employ, right? And so you're trying to draft it, and you're trying to combine different cards so that it can enhance those strategies that you're employing. And I love that I can try and get a card now that I think is going to do me well, that hopefully later I'll be able to get other cards that will kind of improve that whole strategy. But sometimes that doesn't work, and somebody starts to see what you're doing. So hate drafting is very prominent.
That's a huge part of the game, because you can't let somebody run away with a specific strategy.
You don't want them to go and get every Loki card, right? Because that's just going to compound their point gain.
Well, and I love drafting games because, like, you have to weigh the decision of, do I want to hate draft when it's not really beneficial to me? Is that more important than making sure you can't do what you want to do?
Yes.
Right? That's what I love about drafting games.
But then the rage mechanic, right? So each of these cards that you're drafting have to be to employ them or use them. Most of them have a rage cost. So in order to build upgrades and make your strategy work, you have to have a certain amount of rage. So if you're drafting too many of a certain type of cards, you're not going to be able to play them all. So you also want to make sure that you're drafting goal cards and drafting battle cards so that you can make sure that your strategy is going to work, so that you can go and pillage areas on the map and gain different tiles that's going to enhance your rage and enhance your glory and all of these other things. I love how this game works out, and I love the different figures in it. And each monster is also going to have a unique ability, which is really cool.
I love the monsters. Yeah. I like the simplicity. This is, I think, the easiest to get to the table of the trilogy, right? Which I think has a lot of appeal. And
agreed.
Yeah. I like this one a lot.
To me, this is just, I love the conflict in this game. And what I really like, I'm a big conflict fan. Like, I like games with high conflict in them, but I like this one in particular because as you're battling, you can have a battle with one-on-one with another player, or everybody could join in, or like any number of players can join into it depending on where it is, especially because how the board is set up is every region has adjacent regions, but there's one region in the middle, Yggdrasil, that is attached to every region. So if somebody tries to invade Yggdrasil, then everybody can come in and stop them or attempt to stop them. But there are so many fun cards in there that like will allow you to, maybe you want to throw the battle for yourself. Like, you initiate a conflict because you want everybody to come in here because you have a battle card that says that compare strength of everybody and you gain the amount of glory equal to all the strength combined.
Suckers.
So everybody's trying to beat you. So there's this kind of head game that I want you to think that I want to win this battle, but I actually want to throw it. And then there's other times when I want to lose it, but I also want you to lose it. And I love that ties in a battle means that everybody lose.
goes to
because if I want to lose and I can make it
Ragnarok.
tie, everybody else loses and nobody gets a benefit, and I get the benefit because I intentionally wanted to lose. I love that about this game.
I remember we had a game that we played at Tyler's house, and I don't even remember the scenario, but I remember the battle, and we were like cheering.
Epic.
Yeah. Like during the battle, we're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened!" And it was an epic experience, right?
There's cards that can reveal after cards are played too. So you think that you've got it, and then somebody reveals another card, and it lynches that win for them. And I love that. I think this game is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So yeah, that is my number 7 game, Blood Rage.
Nice. My number 7 was previously my number 11, and it has bugged me for a year and a half that this was not in my top 10. This came out in 1963. It's a game of high finance, Acquire. You are tile laying, building hotels and merging them and buying stock along the way, trying to earn the biggest bonuses, all the while influencing how the hotels grow or not grow to your advantage, trying to score the most money by the end of the game. Sid Sackson was an amazing designer, ahead of his time. I grew up playing this game. I've hundreds of plays. I absolutely love it. I've had a few more plays recently and since we last did our lists, and I don't know. I just love Acquire. It's why I'm a board gamer, I would say, or that's the biggest reason that I got into board games was playing Acquire growing up. So that is my number 7, Acquire.
I do not have the same level of affinity as you do to Acquire, but I think it is a phenomenal game. And exactly what you said, Sid Sackson, ahead of his time. He designed games that they could have been designed last year, right? He's really good. I love about this game that you can set up specific merges and try and make that work to your advantage, right? Yeah. And if you draw the right tile, you'll be able to get it. But somebody could be holding on to that tile specifically because they don't want that merger to happen. And I love the strategy that goes into trying to decide, do I want to keep this for myself so that I can get enough shares in that kind of thing to be able to make it beneficial, or don't I? Do I hold on to this because Tyler's going to take way more advantage out of that than I will.
There's times where you might have a little bit more money than everybody else at the table, and you're trying to maximize the number of first and second bonuses that you get, or vice versa. You don't have as much money as everybody else, and you're trying to maximize. Okay, how can I generate some money so that I can get rolling again and pull out a win at the end of this game? One of my favorite things to do of all time is when you get the right tiles to create a hotel right next to an existing one. It's each player's turn. Oh, he bought, I started Festival. He bought Worldwide. My dad bought American. My sister bought Tower. It's back to me. Nobody bought Festival. I get double bonus. I love that feeling, the excitement in the game. It's a tile placement game with stocks and just trying to maximize your bonuses, but I absolutely love it. This game is amazing.
This is a game, though, that skill level matters, and you are vastly superior to I am, at least.
Tyler will deny this.
So we almost got a game of this in last game night. I was trying to talk Ben into playing because he knows it, and our other friend Matt was here, and he plays it a ton. I've lost to Matt before, so I know he's really good at it.
You're better than me, but that doesn't take away from my enjoyment of it. My brother growing up was way better than me at this game too, and I would just play it with him and just get slaughtered every single time.
Yeah.
And so I'm used to that, but I learned to really enjoy it. I don't know that there's a really much better stock kind of a game out there. Like, it's one of the best. And the fact, I think, that they've come out with multiple editions and versions of this.
Even a new edition that's coming out like next year, right?
But like the original version,
almost the same as the one they released a year and a half ago.
Yeah, right.
But the original version is still like the best one, I think.
No,
I would take that one over any of the other ones.
Yeah.
Is it the best one quality-wise, or it's just nostalgic?
It's definitely not the best quality.
It depends on which parts
the
of the
ones I
components
have.
you're
I think
talking
they're
about.
There's the 67 versions. So I have two of those, and then I've got a more recent one. Some of the components are nicer, like the tiles. I like
absolutely.
more.
The vacuum seal board is nicer. In
but the
some places.
milky yellow color is like, oh,
Yeah. The asbestos kind of vibe that it gives off. Yeah.
is this game giving me cancer while I play it?
I mean, it probably is.
All games probably are. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's things I like about the version that came out a year or two ago.
Okay.
But there's things I don't like about it.
The Monopoly money.
Yeah.
The new version has Monopoly money?
It does.
Almost all of them do.
But I
How
play
does
with
this even happen?
the iron clays.
Oh, yeah. You got
But
it.
like the tiles, you can see through them and see what the
Value under it.
value is, which determines where it goes on the board.
Okay.
And so, like, being able to see through it, that's really annoying. I don't know. But yeah, they're doing a 60th anniversary edition that I think is available now, and it's
Talk about milking it. Jeez.
Come on, Dominion.
Yeah, right.
yeah. So I don't know. I'm probably going to pass on that one because it's very similar in a lot of ways to the one that came out a couple of years ago.
Who are you kidding? You're going to buy it. It's one of your favorite games.
2022, Tyler would have. All right. Acquire, number 7.
All right. I did not mention this, but Pulsar was my number 3 in the last list. All right. So my number 6 is new to the list. This is 51st State.
Oh, nice.
This game is fantastic. It's designed by Ignacy Trevicek and published by Portal Games. There is so much to love about this game. I love multi-use cards, and this game does a fantastic job with it. So there's 3 things you can do with the cards. This is a tableau builder. You can make a deal with the card, and this is a post-apocalyptic setting, right? So it's, I think, in the Neuroshima Hex world. Okay. You can make a deal with the card, and the deal will give you something, a resource immediately. And then at the beginning of every round, you get that resource. You can place the card in your tableau, and there's production cards, there's action cards, there's 3 different types of cards. Or you can raise the card, you can burn it to the ground, and you get an immediate bonus. And that decision on what you do with your cards based on what resources you need at the time is a super fun and interesting decision. To start each round, there's a lookout phase. So you're drafting cards, and that can be an agonizing decision of the cards that come out. There could be multiple good options that you're trying to decide between. And then it's very much an engine builder, right? You're trying to get, I think it's to 25 points. Whoever gets there first triggers the end of the game. And then whoever has the most points after somebody triggers, because you trigger doesn't mean you're going to win. You have a good chance, but somebody could, get more points than you. It's a race to get to that point, right? And who can get their engine up and running the quickest, which is, it's fantastic and super fun.
I love raising people too in
Yes.
this game.
Yeah.
Well, you like conflict.
I
And
do.
This game does conflict in a very good way, right?
Exactly.
Some of the storylines that it creates
I
that you
love
can
it.
expand on while you're playing are just fun.
Yeah, we talked about that before. There's like a little bit of role playing in this game, right? Like I'm going to burn down this school, or I'm going to burn down the church, or.
And then you get cards that give you the children to be able to work for you as well, and like it all ties in, right? Like,
Yeah, I think the boiler room. I think I had some guys hanging out in the boiler room for a while, and you have these cards that people can use your sources, right? So they put a guy on your card, and then they get a benefit, and you get a benefit as well. And those cards are awesome.
I think that you already mentioned it. I like conflict, right? But the way that 51st State handles conflict, the first time we played, it felt a little bit feel bad, but I don't think we fully understood how beneficial it can be to be raised at times.
Yep.
Right? So like there is a benefit from being raised by some other player. Like you'll get value out of that. You'll get ruins, which you can immediately improve and upgrade to a better value building that otherwise would have cost you too many resources to do otherwise. And you get a bonus resource when you're raised.
Yep.
So like it's not the worst thing. And if you really don't want to be raised, I love that the level on which your card is determines how well protected it is, right? Yep. So if you want a really good building, you have to understand that it's desirable for other people too to want to stop your engine. Yep. So it may not have as good of defenses, but you can also get police tokens to be able to protect that a little bit more.
That beefs up your defenses.
And so I think that it's really clever way to ensure that, like, even if you get raised and you're trying to protect it, you still get benefits. So it's not the end of the world.
Yep.
And
you get a ruin.
Yeah, exactly. And then it makes sense too, right? Like, the reason somebody's going to want to raise you is because
you're being efficient.
You're doing a great job.
You haven't. See, that's what I was going to mention. It's like, you can't be mad about that because you're probably the leader at that point, right? And they're trying to disrupt your engine, your victory point engine. Or I've also seen where somebody random just has the resources you need. I've done that as well, right? Which can feel a little bit worse, but still, it's like, does. Hey, I need those resources, so I'm going to burn down your building.
And then you see that they use something in that turn to be able to do it because the resources you gather are only for that round,
which is another part of what I love about
phenomenal.
This game. It's an optimization puzzle, right? Like, I have all these resources I want to use. I don't want to waste anything because it does feel bad when you have a bunch of extra resources. You're like, I can't do anything with them. But when you work it out where you use everything and you do everything you want to do, it's like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Which is exactly why, like, you wouldn't want to go and, like, initiate conflict with somebody randomly because ultimately there's no benefit to you. You can't hoard the resources that you've stolen from somebody.
Unless you have certain cards, but yeah.
Right. Yep. There are a few that will allow that, but, like, most of the time it's not going to benefit you to hoard on to resources because they don't transition from round to round. I think this game has done something very special that like, I love everything about this game, and I think from theme to mechanics to, like, the table conversations, everything. And the
way you add expansions is fantastic. It's just a deck of cards that you put into your existing deck, and you're modular, and you're done. And then and it changes the flavor of the game. There's some expansions that add a little bit more, an extra board, which have been super fun to explore. I've played all of the content at this point, and I don't think there's a bad expansion that I've played at all.
You could tell me this was a Tom Lehman game, and I would believe you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's got the vibes of that.
I would love to play this game more. I don't know why it is, but every single time this gets played at game night, I'm either one, not there, or two, I'm playing a different game
playing at a different table. Yep.
And I would love to get this played more because this game is fantastic. I didn't see it on your list, Tyson.
You have not seen it on my list.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, we'll see. Maybe later. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, this is a great game. Definitely worthy of a top 10. So that's my number 6, 51st State.
My number 6 is a game that was previously my number 16. So it's risen.
Ooh, that hasn't happened very often.
It doesn't happen very often, no. But, like, this one, you just had that with Acquire, right? Like, and for me, this one was one. It's a seasonal game for me. I end up playing this game the same time every year, and I end up playing more of it each time. And as such, it's become a very good memory game for me. So, any guesses as to what this game is?
Taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza, but the Christmas
gingerbread
version.
one. Yes. No, this is Final Girl.
Final Girl, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
this is my highest rated solo game on my top 50 list. And I love this game because I've mentioned other games that I've played exclusively solo, right, that I really like. Isla and Something Shiny, Paperback Adventures. Those are great games, and I think Paperback Adventure is a great game mechanically, and I think Isla and Something Shiny is a great game thematically. But I think that Final Girl is a great game both mechanically and thematically. The experiences I have had with this game are so cinematic that it's like I'm watching a movie as I'm playing it. And they're horror-themed movies. There's a lot of different content here. I still only have season 1. I know, Tyler, that you have, like, pretty much all the content almost at this point.
Yeah, and the new season hasn't fulfilled yet. But my wife loves this game. I think it's great. Sometimes we'll play, like, as a double date night. She'll play a season 2 game while I'm playing season 1. And it's just fun to play side by side and kind of tell each other what's going on at the time.
Well, see, and that's like, I love everything that it does. There is enough that you can sit there and look at it like from a mechanic standpoint and be like, okay, here are some options for you to do, but it's still up to you to decide what is your optimal play. And there's this risk of who knows what's going to happen because it's a horror movie and we don't know where the killer's going to end up or how they're going to interact with you. And I love that about this game. I also think that this game has so much to offer in terms of like exploration, right? Like you get a lot of content here. You get to explore it and learn more. And every time I've played it, I've had a different outcome, and I can mix and match and exchange, like intermingle the different scenarios with different locations
with the different final girl.
With the different final girls, exactly. And so there's a lot to explore here, which is why I haven't had the need to go beyond season 1, because each time I do, I experience more, and I have like the campaign as well that I haven't gotten through, and it's about that time of year. I'm about to start playing this game again, so I'm excited to play this game. It is the only solo game on my top 10 list, but I think this is a phenomenal game.
I personally love going after Krampus with Mrs. Claus.
I have not played Krampus.
So we actually bought some Final Girl. So my wife got some. So we're going to start. She's played it once. I haven't played it yet. But yeah, it's that time of year. I'm going to break it out.
Do some Halloween or scary game or horror game nights.
Agreed.
Coming up in the next few weeks.
I agree. We should absolutely do it.
Awesome.
So yeah, that is my number 6 Final Girl.
It's not an easy game to win either.
No, it's not. I get slaughtered more often than not.
That's how they should be, though, right?
No, absolutely.
That's cool.
So my number, we on 6?
6.
My number 6 is the first new game that's on my overall list that made my top 10. It's a beast. Takes a while to set up and take down. Quality's top notch.
Okay.
I suspect there's going to be more to be said about this game, so I'm just going to leave it with Mind Clash's Voidfall is my number 6, designed by Nigel Buckle and David Turczi.
I wondered who would drop that one first.
Yeah. So we'll hear more about this one.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 6, Voidfall.
All right. Thought you were going to talk about your game a little bit more. So I wasn't quite ready. But okay, my number 5. This is new to the list. We'll see over time if this stays in my top 10. But for now, I've played this game a ton this year with my daughter. This is Disney Lorcana.
Awesome.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. Set 5 recently came out. I had told myself, because how long can you keep buying stuff, right? Like, holy cow, it is an expensive
Ask Magic players, I'm
game.
sure.
Oh, I know.
When you figure that out, let me know for Unlimited.
Yeah, what, you're on set 2?
Yeah, I've pre-ordered set 3. So.
Yeah, set 5. I'll talk to you when you get to set 5. I wasn't, so this is how I got into set 5. So it was my birthday, and Matt and his fiance decided to get me 5 booster packs, which awesome gift. Super happy that they gave that to me, but it sucked me into set 5.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, so I'm like, crap, I got to go buy a lot more content, which I wasn't too upset about because it's fantastic. Every game, every set that comes out adds a new mechanic or something different that you can explore. So this is primarily it's a 2-player game. You can play more than 2-player, but I've only played it 2-player. It's a pretty simple TCG, right? You're trying to get to 20 lore. You have a hand of cards. You start with 7 cards. You play those. You play cards as ink. That's how you get cards out, is through ink costs, and then you're just battling the other player. The theme comes through strong in a lot of these cards. If you're a Disney fan, then you're gonna like the theme. Obviously, if you're not a Disney fan, you probably aren't gonna like the game. But it's exciting when you're opening packs with any TCG. Like, what are you going to get? It's blind boosters, which some people hate that. Some people like it. I like it because you don't know what you're going to get. We pulled 2 legendaries out of 1 pack in this last set, and it was crazy. It was awesome. There's enchanted cards. I've only pulled 2 enchanted cards. I got them in the same night, which I realize now was incredibly lucky because I have not seen one since, and we've opened probably up 100 packs since then. But it's just exciting and it's fun to play, and it's been a chance for me to bond more with my daughter, which is probably what I like most about the game, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. You have a special situation in being able to have your daughter love it as much as you love it, right?
Yep.
And when you have a 2-player game that you have somebody who is equally invested in it with you, and that has like a discovery element to it, right? I think like Arkham Horror, right? The card game, like being able to talk about, look at this new card that I got. It's not a TCG, but being able to discover stuff with somebody and look at how this can interact with another card, or how I can make a deck around this. Like, I love that type of an experience. So not only are you getting the gameplay experience, which is phenomenal, it sounds like, but you also get the experience of, we get to sit down and kind of strategize and talk and open these cards together. So it's like maximizing the whole experience. Buying it is as fun as playing it, as fun as it's constructing.
Collecting is a part of it, right? It's like, oh man, like we can include 4 of each card in our decks. And when we open decks, we're like, oh man, we have 3 of these. We need one more. And we open up another one. We got the 4th card. That's awesome. Man, I'm going to build a deck around this. And then we'll sit around the table. It'll just be a mass of cards, because I have a pretty big game table. We'll fill up the whole table with cards. Like my side will be one. I'll be building my decks on one side. She'll be building on the other side. And then the cool thing about it is you have an idea for a deck. You build that deck, and then immediately you test it out and see how it works. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's cool in that whole process. Like, okay, I got to tweak this. This didn't really work how I wanted it to. I'm going to, put some other cards in there that make the deck better. And then when it works, it's awesome. It's so much fun.
But going back to the bonding time with Caitlin though, that is so awesome because, she's a senior in high school.
She's almost 18.
She's going to move on to adulting and leaving the house and creating those memories. I've been thinking a lot about that lately. Logan is a year behind Caitlin. He's only a junior. Man, I've got like a year and a half of solid gaming before he goes off to school and goes off and starts doing adult things. And I don't know, it makes me kind of sad that period is coming to a close. And we'll always play games when we get together.
But it'll be different.
But it'll be a little bit different. So I want to cram in as much as possible as I can. But yet he's playing tennis and working and swamped with school. And it's just hard to get games to the table. But I want to create those special memories. So it's awesome that you've had that experience with Caitlin, with Lorcana lately. Yeah. That's awesome.
No, it is. It's really cool. It's something we'll always look back on. So I'm running into the same thing. She is so busy like now. Yeah. So we got set 5 and I sent her a picture and said, deck's ready to go. And this was after my surgery. So it took me forever to build the deck. Right. And I even sleeved the cards and
strong meds helping out with that.
Trying to sleeve the cards with the gimpy hand and like a hand that actually works. I'm like, it took me a long time, but I took a picture of it and said, hey, come down here and build your deck. But she's been so busy, hasn't been able to get to it, but we'll get to it. We'll get to set 5, but yeah, fantastic game. We'll be playing it for a while still. That's my number 5, Lorcana.
So my number 5 was my number 4, and it's already been mentioned on a top 10 list. It's Orleans.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
All the reasons we discussed, I love this game. Hands down, agree with Tyler. Best bag building game there is.
Way better than Wonderland's War.
Way better. And I like Wonderland's War. I like Wonderland's War.
Somewhat better than Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Way better than Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Okay.
Yeah, that one didn't make my top 50 either.
All right. That was a little bit faster than I thought. So my number 5, I've got 80 plays of this. It has fallen a few spots from my number 1. This is Clans of Caledonia.
Okay.
Now you've got me interested.
Great game.
I just, every time I play this, it's amazing. It's the better version for me of than Gaia Project or the other one.
Terra Mystica.
Or the other one, the one that came first.
Yeah. Designed by Juma Al-Juju.
Who is an awesome guy.
Yeah, we did an interview and an episode with him earlier this year. The expansion is hopefully finally coming in crowdfunding format soon.
Instaback.
Yes. Published by Karma Games. Every single time I play this game, whether it's on the table or on BGA, I just have a great time. Kevin and I have had some amazing games with Saja on BGA lately. Yeah. There was one game that was very aggressive.
It was. Yeah.
Like, just the map got built out really fast and people were getting blocked off. Yeah. Kevin was blocking me off like crazy.
Yeah.
Just some epic games. Every time I get this out on the table, even though you can barely see it on the table because the pieces are so small.
That's the one criticism.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it just creates this. I just love the overall experience, trying to figure out how to spend my money, how to manipulate the market so that I'm selling this round and buying next round and
maximizing your clan power,
getting the contracts fulfilled and scoring points at each of the end of the rounds and buying the contracts while they're still cheaper and trying to fulfill them early on in the game. But the best thing I love about this and Gaia Project and Terra Mystica is that as you add more buildings to the map, you're increasing your production each round, and the rounds become more and more interesting with what's available for you to do. Clans of Caledonia, I love this game. It was my number one. It's dropped to number 5, but it's an amazing game, and I'm going to keep playing this forever. I don't know. I've got 80 plays. I'm never going to stop playing this game, and I love that it's on Board Game Arena. So can't wait for the expansion.
We almost always have a game going.
Yeah, we do.
And it's always fun to go look and see, okay, what changed? This is one of the games where I look through the log and I'm like, what did everybody do? If I can't immediately see it on the board, right? Because there could be spots where I'm going to and I immediately say, oh crap, that got blocked. you know, so you know. But
well, there's so many times where I'm like, okay, I think Kevin's going to go here.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, then I'm just going to try and go somewhere else first in hopes that he doesn't go there. Yeah. And then I'll come back to my next turn. And sure enough, he went to the spot that I didn't want him to go to. I was trying, because I would have pulled off both locations, I would have been set.
Yes. I'm looking at boards. I'm like, okay, what's his shipping?
Yeah.
How far can he reach?
What contract is he going for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One of my favorite, so there's 4 tiles in each game that are in the corners of the board.
Yeah.
And if you're next to them or within distance of them, you can use their ability. One of my favorite ones lets you manipulate the market 3 steps for whatever commodity or good that you're selling or buying. And I think in this, a couple games ago, I had a round where I sold 6 cheese. Yeah, and I had like 110 money in the midway through like the 3rd round or something. And I didn't. It was just a blast.
I've never seen that much money except for the Milkman. That's it. Yeah. That was awesome. That was really cool.
I just love this game. It just makes me excited thinking about it and talking about it. That's Clans of Caledonia.
That's a good one. I like it. All right, we're 4, right? Number 4. My number 4 was my number 1 last time. That is Anachrony. Okay. It's fallen all the way to 4, which is not a big fall.
No, it's not.
It's fantastic. I love everything about this game. I love the fact that it's on BGA now. I guess I should say it's designed by David Turtsey. It is a Mind Clash game. Seems to be a theme for us. We like a lot of Mind Clash games. I love that this is on BGA. I love that I can play it more. I wish expansions were on BGA, but I still love vanilla Anachrony. I think it's fantastic. I love that there are workers that specialize in different things. Getting it out on the table is the best experience because you have the exosuits. You actually slot your workers into the exosuit, which is amazing, and then put them out on the board and they do what you want them to do. I love the engine building in this game. Getting the different buildings on your board and getting them to work with each other. I'm getting, steel here to turn into this to get victory points. I love it's a glorified loan mechanic, but I think it's pulled off really well, where you're going back in time, you're borrowing from yourself in the future, and then you got to repay that again. It's just really cool. The theme comes through there. I love the theme itself. I think the theme's fantastic. So much to love about this game. The expansions just kick it up to
every single
11, right?
And they do it right in like every expansion, similar to 51st State, right, are modular expansions.
Yep.
So you can mix and match and get a variety of different play styles and experiences, and you can get different. Like it's a new experience almost every single time if you're switching in new content you haven't seen before. And because each box has a variety of different cards and tiles and things like that, you haven't finished seeing everything in the first one. Like I love the buildings in the base game, right?
Yes.
And you have a lot of different buildings, and seeing how those interact with each other even in the base game is fantastic. But then you add a variety of new buildings to your pile. There's modules that just say, hey, you can add this into any game, so you can add a bunch of new buildings to the base game or to any of the other modules, and it's great because now there's different strategies and ways to go. I think that everything about this game is done fantastically. I love it.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories is just playing 2-player with you, and we played with the expansion. I forget which
Fractures
of Time. Yep, where it allows you to blink.
Yes,
and that just blew my mind. Like
we haven't gone back to it.
I know, but it completely changed the experience because you're vacating spots that were available, and then they become available again for the other person. So that adds a whole different level of strategy and decision making.
Well,
right?
that's a huge part of every other version of the game, right? Because like blocking somebody off and picking the spots that you want early is important. I love that in this game, it's a worker placement game, and to start the game, right, in every version of the game, you have the main board has all of your worker placement spots, but as you build out your own kind of sanctuary, as it were, right, you're creating worker placement spots for yourself
that are unique to you.
But you're still trying throughout this game to decide where on the main board is my most needed actions and how do I prioritize it. But the blinking then changes that whole thing up, because now it's where do I want to make sure to block for as long as possible, so that, because I think that Kevin's going to want this, but then blink away or wait until he's blinked away to a different spot so I can go and capture that same action that he's taken earlier in the round. I love that.
That was cool. And the buildings that got added to that game, I think switched it up. It added adjacency things where if you're adjacent to this building, you get certain benefits. Really cool. We got to get this back out and play.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's an amazing game.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was number 13 on my list. I don't think it's shown up on Tyson's list yet.
This is true. You keep pointing out all those games that haven't shown up yet.
You're taking out the suspense, Tyler. That's awesome. So that is my number 4, Anachrony.
My number 4 is a game that was previously mentioned. Okay. I believe it was Tyler's number in his teens range. I can't remember the exact one. He'll tell me here in a second. But it was my number 6 before. It's Darwin's Journey.
Oh, wow.
23.
Okay.
It was not in his teens. Darwin's Journey. This is a game that is designed by Simone Luciani and Nestor Mangone. It also has a solo mode from David Turchi, and it's published by Thundergriff Games. This game, I have been playing it for years, even though it just came out last year. I got to play an early copy of this with a reviewer, and I loved it instantly. It has so much to offer, but then when I finally got my copy and started playing it both solo and with a group, it created some amazing experiences. I love about this game the ability to combo. It recently got added to BGA, and I've been looking at all the different combos, and I've been playing I have 2 or 3 games going at all times, basically, of this game.
Wow.
And I'm loving playing this on BGA and seeing how I can make things combo. There is so much going on in this game. There's a lot of different actions, and there's a lot of different mechanism tied in. The main board has dozens of different worker placement locations, and then it also has goals. Each round you have to get certain points. It directs your path of what you want to do, and then you're looking at the objectives that individually you have. You have tents that you can deploy onto a map. You have postage stamps that you can put onto the board to get additional end of round actions. It has so much going on, but like, as I look at this game and the more I play it, the more I see how very intricately all of these systems are tied. And similar to Pulsar, what we just talked about, right? Like, I love in this game that you only are usually doing one thing on your turn by placing a worker out and doing it. But if you play your cards right, you can end up taking like 2, 3, 4, 5 times as many actions as you would normally be allocated, because you set it up just right, that you ended up putting a worker on a certain place that allowed you to put a lens tile out, which allowed you to take an extra action. By doing that action, it then allows you to put out some stamps, which those stamps then deplete a pile of stamps and unlock an ability to put a tent out on the board. You put a tent out on the board.
His head's going to explode.
And then you go and do actions there. I love everything this game does, and I am not winning on BGA.
I'm not
much.
either. I need to do a rules refresh because I'm struggling.
But like, I enjoy it independent of my my losing.
Totally, I agree.
It's great. I love this game, and yes, Tyler's already talked about it, but I have to, with it being my number 4, I have to express how much I love this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
The more I've played it, the more I've loved it. It is one of the best games of recent times that that has come out for me, and that is Darwin's Journey, my number 4.
Awesome.
Okay, love it.
Designed by Simone Luciani, right?
Correct.
I've got a Simone Luciani game for you. This came out in 2022, designed with Daniela Ticini and Simone. Tiletum, or however you want to say it.
Tiletum.
Some city in Belgium that's now called Tielt. I absolutely love this freaking game. It is awesome. I don't have very many plays of it, but it is fantastic. It's a beige Euro. Could have come out in
The
2000.
beigest of Euro, some may say.
You got a map that you're moving your little card around, and it's got a little bit more going on with the board than Orleans does. But the main thing that I love about this is there's this like cog wheel thing, and on your turn, you're selecting your dice drafting.
Yep.
And there are a number of things that are going on with the die that you pick. The region or the area arc or whatever of that wheel that you select the dice from determines where you can spend your action points for that turn. The die itself, whatever the value is, that gives you the number of action points that you're spending, and the inverse of that die. So if you flip it over, or always equaling the sum of 7, that's how many resources you get of the corresponding resource to that color of die. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 things that come from selecting a die. You also might get a bonus tile when you select your die if you're the first one to select in that space.
Wedge.
Thank you.
Wedge.
That's the word I've been looking for. The wedge. This game has so many combos and bonus tiles, and every
bonus tiles, but combos everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that every time I play it, every single turn, there's like 3 powerful turns that I could create out of that turn.
Yeah.
But depending on which way I go, there's so much to do. It's got a little bit more moving around the board. You're trying to put out pillars, you're moving your architect, your merchant around. So there's a little bit more going on than what you do when you move around the board on Orleans. You're putting houses out. You're trying to score for the fair scoring and the different town tiles that those happen in. You're trying to construct cathedrals. The game is like any board and dice T game. There's tons of variability in the setup and depending on which tokens come out during the setup and over the course of the game. I absolutely love this game. It takes a lot to outdo my other favorite T game, Teotihuacan. Teo.
Say Teo.
But yeah, this one does it, and I need to get more plays of this because I absolutely love it.
Last time you played, was it Cabicon?
I think it may have been.
Because you played this one, and I didn't get in on that game, but I wanted to. Yeah.
Every single time I play it, I just feel powerful and like there's so much going on, and it's just a blast. Every turn is exciting.
The fact that both of us have a 4, our number 4 is a Luciani, and I haven't played that Luciani. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice. I think we need to get this one to the table.
You would love this one.
Yeah, I think you would love this one too. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's not ranked super high on BGG. It's like in the 300s, but it is an amazing game. I don't know. I would happily play this anytime.
I mean, 300 seems like pretty good of all games of all time.
300
sure.
Is pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 4, Tiletum.
All right, my number 3. This experience of playing this game was one of the best experiences I've ever had in board gaming. This is Undaunted Stalingrad.
Nice. I wondered when it was going to show.
Yeah. I love the Undaunted system. I think this is designed by Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson. I think they just did such a fantastic job with all of the games in this series. But this is my favorite one. It's a campaign style game. It's a resettable campaign game, which I think is cool. And it's set in World War II. So I got this. Mark and I already mentioned we've been playing Memoir 44. So I'm like, hey, do you want to play Undaunted Stalingrad? And we can play through the whole campaign. He's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So we started playing. And the way that the story unfolds in this game and how there's a branching narrative and there's different things that happen depending on who wins each scenario is just fantastic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The fact that you can actually lose people, like people die, and they have names. You're like, you fought a good fight, time to get retired and go back to the box.
Now you're fighting with a shovel.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get recruits that come in, and the recruits that come in have shovels, and they're not nearly as effective as those that died, right? Because they're recruits. The stories that come out of this are amazing. The illustrations by Roland McDonald are fantastic. I love everything about this game. There's not many campaign games that I'd go back and replay. I would absolutely replay this, and I would play, the other side. I was the Germans, I think. Was I the Germans? Now I can't remember. But I'd go play the other side, and I think I'd have a fantastic experience because you'd see different things with the branching narrative. The only regret that I have about this campaign that we played is we didn't get to the final scenario. I ended up winning before we got to the epic conclusion at the end. It was still an epic conclusion for us, but it wasn't as epic as it could have been because we looked forward and we're like, holy crap, that game would have taken probably 3 hours to play, but it would have been incredible. So that's why I kind of want to play it again. It's to experience that. But
nice.
I loved it. I thought it was a great experience and great game. That is my number 3.
Undaunted system's amazing. Callisto.
Oh, Callisto.
Get it played.
Yep. I send a message to Mark and say, hey, look what showed up. Do you want to play? He's like, what? Yes, I do.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I still need to finish my Stalingrad campaign with Logan, but it's a fantastic and amazing game from what I've seen of it.
Yeah.
And I love every single iteration of Undaunted. So,
yep. That's my number 3, Undaunted Stalingrad.
My number 3 was previously my number 1, and it's already been discussed, Anachrony.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right.
We're leaving it at that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I was pretty excited about it when we talked about it.
We talked quite a bit about it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing audible on my final 3 here for a second.
Switching them around.
You're well, huh?
I've been second guessing myself the whole time after I created this list weeks ago.
All right.
Okay. My number 3 previously Pseudo was my number 14. This is Dune Imperium Uprising. But previously it was just Dune Imperium.
Okay.
When Direwolf originally announced this game, we were at Gen Con, I think, when they announced it. And I was kind of annoyed. Like, I just want more expansions for Dune Imperium.
Sure.
I don't want another iteration.
I remember that, yeah.
I ended up getting it. I love that you can play the expansions with either game. I think that is definitely a bonus of them releasing a new version. But I have played Dune Imperium Uprising. I have it. I love it. It just enhances the experience. It adds new cards, new locations, different card effects. You get some of the worms in the battles. You've got the wall that can be broken down, and I don't know, just the spies mechanic. There's just a lot that, not a ton, but enough that adds to the experience and takes it up to the next level for me. I love the deck building experience in Dune Imperium. This is easily the highest, my most favorite game that has deck building. I don't know. I've talked about it at length before, but I just think it's a fantastic experience. I love the IP, which helps, but even aside from that, this is an amazing game. That is Dune Imperium Uprising, my number 3.
Nice. Wow. Number 2. We're to 2. Okay. This is my number 2. Another Mind Clash game that may have one other person that talks about this. I don't know.
I alluded to it.
You alluded to it. Maybe we wait until it comes.
I think
on
so.
The next person's list. Maybe.
Yeah.
You're assuming a lie here.
I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
If not, we'll go back and re-record.
Yeah.
Between the two of you, you have all reviewed my. You
know your
revealed my
final
top 5.
Yeah.
That's true. All right. Well, let's see what happens.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see which one's your top 2.
Well, this should be
in which
fairly
order
quick.
they come.
This should be fairly quick then, because my number 2 and my number 1 are the only 2 on my top 10 list that are new additions to this list that weren't there previously.
Okay.
My number 2 has been discussed already. It is 51st State.
Nice. Wow, that's surprising. That's so high for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it. Like
I love it.
I don't own this game.
Yeah.
I don't. Only played Kevin's copy.
Yeah.
But every single time we've played it, it has been
awesome.
a memorable experience,
Yeah.
and it has been like just fun, like every time, and I love that about it. And I would play this game over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And maybe if I played it 50 times, I wouldn't love it as much as I do now. But like,
But I think it
love
has staying power
I do
for
too.
sure.
I've almost bought this so many times just so I could play it with I mean, independent of when Kevin's over here, because I always end up at that other table.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. 51st Day. I like it.
Love it. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's my number 2, 51st State.
All right.
My number 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Obviously, clearly, but it always has been.
Yeah.
Previously, this was my number 4 game of all time. It has bumped up to my number 2 game of all time.
Okay.
It is Cthulhu Death May Die.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it at length.
Yep.
We've done a feature review of this.
We have.
We've talked about it again and again and again. I'm sure people
Even
are
in this
sick
episode,
of us.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sure people are sick of us talking about it. It was Tyson's number
It was on this list. 10? 9.
9. 9. And we haven't heard from Kevin yet.
What makes you think? I don't know.
Yeah. My only dig on this game is that it's still the new versions are still sitting in China.
And you can get the game at retail.
Yes, that drives me insane. And I know people say, "Well, you're backing it for the extra content." Yeah, but I'm also kind of backing it to have first.
So I can get it first.
Yeah. And
Well,
fund someone else getting it in retail.
And my statue, which I love. of
Yes, love the statue
I
as
love
well.
the statue. You can't play that scenario without season 3 and 4.
Unless you use the old rules.
Unless you use the old rules. But
Right.
like that I was so excited to play that.
Yeah, and then you get the statue, and then you start reading the rules, and you're like, wait a second.
I got to have these cards.
It needs those cards that haven't shown up yet, and they haven't shipped yet.
Yeah.
Get fired up.
I know.
Number 2.
But you're only getting fired up because you love the game so much.
Right, yeah. Cthulhu Death May Die. So many incredible and amazing experiences.
Yeah.
I still remember the first time that we were playing as a family and Logan sacrificed himself and took like 30 enemies with him to out of the way so that we could finish off Cthulhu or whoever we were fighting. Amazing experiences every time.
So
that
many
creates
like
a story.
Improbable things that have to happen or things that have to come into place that you're like, there's no way that this can happen. And then somehow you disrupt the ritual barely.
Yeah.
And then somehow you end up winning barely or losing, but which is still fun.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, and it's that feeling of overwhelming, like there's no way this is going to work out, and then it works out. And it's like, what?
And
That's
then
so
even
cool.
every once in a while, there's times where you feel like you're doing really well, and then in like one round, you just get obliterated, and the game's over.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Cthulhu Death May Die. Amazing.
I approve of that choice. For sure.
I think.
Yeah.
Why is that?
My number one game is Acquire. No. It's Cthulhu Death May Die. Yeah, fantastic game. It doesn't hurt that it's Caitlin, my daughter's number one game too. She absolutely loves it. So
awesome.
we get it played quite a bit, and she's equally as excited for the new content as I am. And my wife loves it. Like you mentioned before, it's so easy to introduce to new people, and we've introduced it to a lot of people. And it's a heavier game, right? It's an intimidating game that has like minis. If people aren't into games, they're going to look at that and go, "What the heck is this? I don't want to play this." Yeah. But then every time we introduce it to somebody, they're like, "This is great. This is a good game." So,
yeah.
All right. Enough about Cthulhu Death May Die. We could go on for hours about this one, but that's my number one game of all time, Cthulhu Death May Die.
Speaking of games we could probably go on for hours about, my number one game is Voidfall.
Oh, Voidfall. This was my number 2.
Some crossover.
Yeah. Tyler's.
Number 6.
So Voidfall is all on our top 10 list. I love this game. I have, for years, sought out a space epic game that like 4X style that I love. I've played Twilight Imperium. I've played...
Have you played Eclipse?
I have not played Eclipse.
Okay.
Recently played Arcs.
Yep.
I've talked about Arcs a little bit. I've played a number of other like space games, and they all lacked something for me. Voidfall touts itself as being a 4X, but as a heavy Euro, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, that's what I was looking for in a game, for a 4X space experience.
Yeah.
I love the experiences with the other games that I've talked about and played, but this game did a unique job at presenting to me the experience of having a society and operating and increasing that society, and then going out and expanding, exploring, and exploiting and exterminating, right? Yeah. I love that about this game. I think, and I have to say, Mind Clash. The production is amazing on this game.
It's probably the best produced game that I own, I think.
Oh, yeah. And I think my biggest regret about this game is that I chose to drop my pledge for this one and replace it with... what is? I don't even know the game. Septima. Oh. I replaced it with Septima.
Oh gosh,
that's not as bad as if you would have replaced it with the.
I haven't opened Septima.
I like Septima.
It's in Shrink, and I haven't played Septima.
I like Septima.
There's no comparison.
But Voidfall is a superior game, easily.
And like, I'm not saying Septima is bad, but like, I could guarantee you that if I had kept on Voidfall, I would have been playing solo. I would have had it set up in my vault forever and just played it over and over. But I love that in this game, there are multiple ways that you can play, right? You can choose an economic strategy and try and do that. You can try more of an aggressive strategy. But I also like that you have the Voidborn, right? And so you do not necessarily have to, if you don't want to, engage with the other players like in a combative way, which I think is what makes this game one of my favorites. Because while I love conflict, I know not everybody does, and I think unless you find the right group who does like that in a 4X kind of experience, then you're going to alienate people. I think that one of the reasons I like this game as much as I do is because the two of you are as like interested in playing this game as I am, and you are willing to play it, despite the fact that it is an extremely long game.
Yeah,
there's a lot to know.
Getting
lot to
enough
set up.
plays so that we could do a feature review of it was a little bit.
It was hard.
It was hard, but
Yeah.
every experience was so much
We
fun.
walked away from the
was.
table every single time just being like, that was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love that about this
agree.
game.
Yeah, I love just on your turn trying to pick the cards and which actions that you're going to do from which cards, and just planning out your next couple of turns. That's easily my favorite part about the game. And
the card play is the best for me too.
yeah,
Absolutely. Well, and the fact that the asymmetry between those cards, right? Everybody has generally the same cards, but there's enough difference between my faction and your faction that we can sit there and be like, oh, if I play this card, I get to do a little extra stuff. It reminds me in some ways of like Scythe, having the top row, bottom row stuff, like in that asymmetry, that it's just slightly different, that it leans you towards a direction that you may want to take and go through it. But then on top of that, again, the faction mats on this one, if you look at the back, it gives you options of what style of play do you want to play with this faction in particular.
Guide you a little bit.
Yeah, and it gives you an option to be able to cater to how you want to play, and I think that's really great.
yeah,
Yeah, there's so much to explore in this one. It's been too long since we got it to the table, right? And I find myself like not remembering. As you're talking about it, it's reminding me of some things. I'm like, that is awesome, and I love it. And I know the reason why it's my number 2 is because I remember just loving playing it so much and the excitement. There's some games that I play where, it makes my heart start racing because it's like, whoa, this is so cool. And I see something that's going to happen and it's like, this is so cool. And then you pull it off and it's awesome. It comes down to a close finish. I mean, we had a game here playing at Tyler's house, and it was just so exciting the way it ended. It was just so cool. But the longer it goes, because it's such a complicated game, the harder it is to get back into it. So we have to get this game played.
We
and
do.
every time we get together, we're like, we got to play Voidfall. We just got to do it, So we got to prioritize that, right?
If there's one ding for me on this game, it is the deterministic battle.
You don't like that, huh?
I don't
like it.
love it because I don't want to waste brain power keeping track of everybody's upgrades and my upgrades and how this battle's going to play out before I actually say, hey, I'm declaring battle on you or on the aliens, Void Born or whatever. That's a small ding for me. I just don't want to. I don't want to keep track of that. So many other things going on this game. I wish that the battle was slightly different in some way.
I can see that as a complaint, but for me, I think you could conversely have the argument that, look, I can know the outcome of a battle before I go into it. And so I can know, like, it takes away that randomness of, like, because of how big the game is and how much there is, if there was that kind of randomness, right, that like, oh, I had my whole turns, like you talked about the card play, and right, like having all those turns worked out, but if one of the middle turns happens to be the battle turn and it's contingent upon chance, and then that ruins the rest of the planning, then that's problematic for me.
That's why it's a Euro 4X.
Yes.
Right? Because if it had dice, more Ameritrashy side of things.
It's a small ding for me.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's just not my favorite part of playing is trying to keep track of.
I do think it can be cumbersome to kind of keep track of all of, or and you even go through the steps and be like, did I do it right? And then if I didn't quite calculate it right because it was deterministic, and if I had shifted this would, like, there can be some feel bad moments here and there. But I think that is like small in comparison, like you said, right? But like, one of the great things is that there's so much to explore in it as well.
And there's an expansion coming soon, and we haven't even barely touched the surface. We haven't done a cooperative game yet.
No, but we have done like a couple.
cooperative.
What I like is that we've done the same scenario, or at least I have, twice. That were like I did it at a 3-player account and at a 2-player account.
And that's right.
And like that was a different experience, even though. And I remember that game with Kevin coming back and he had set it up, and because the setup's just so cumbersome, it was like, no, we're playing this.
We'll play this.
Right?
Sorry, you already played the scenario, but it played out different, right?
But exactly, and it was like, oh no, this completely like a different experience, and it was epic, and it was fun, and I've loved this at every player account. I've played it at 2, 3, and 4 players. I haven't played it solo, but like every player account that I've played this at, just a fantastic time.
Yeah, it is.
Agreed.
We need to
love
play
it.
Yeah, so that's my number
Let's
one.
break it out right now. Okay. Well, it's 9:30, so
See you next week.
All right, so we're down to the last one.
yeah, this is it.
Do you guys have any guesses?
Nucleum.
Yep.
So we
Made it to number 1. Huh?
we have some Simone Luciani's and David Turczi's spread throughout our top 50 and in our top 10.
Yeah.
My number 1 game is Nucleum. I have just been blown away by this game. This is 2 of my favorite designers, and the fact that they collaborated on this game. It's still a weight 4.13 out of 5 on BGG, but it doesn't feel that complicated. I love this game. You have a bunch of tiles in front of you, and there's one action on both ends of a tile. Okay, and they're different actions, right? And you've got a bunch of different tiles that have different actions. So on your turn, you're selecting a tile to play, and if you play it on your board, you get to do both actions on it. Things like drafting contracts, or building new buildings on the board, or selecting new action tiles from the open market. And you can play them on your board, or you can play them as railroad links on the game board to connect cities with. But if you do that, you lose that tile for the rest of the game. It's now on the board creating your network, and you only get to do the actions on that tile. So there's one on each end, and they have colors that are associated with them. You only get to do the actions that you link up with cities of that same color or other tiles that have been played with that same color. And so if there's a 2-link railroad between 2 cities, if I play one tile and it matches the city, I'm going to get that action and do that. And then on my next turn, I might play the next tile, and then I get to do 3 actions if all the colors match, because now I'm connecting 2 rail tiles together that have colors match. And so I get to do both actions plus the other action, right? There's a lot going on in this game. This game reminds me in a lot of ways of Brass. You're building networks. You have to get coal and nucleum or nuclear power to specific locations to power your buildings after you build them. So networks are important. I think this game's a little bit more forgiving than Brass. I think it is a Brass killer for me. I would always choose to play this over Brass. Lots of similarities, some very interesting end game scoring mechanics, depending on how well you score each of your kind of rest turns each round. When you rest, you get all those tiles back, those action tiles that you've played on your board, back in front of you, and you have production tracks that you collect production on, workers, money, victory points, tons of different ways to score points. This game just blows me away. I love it. I've got the Australia expansion. I think that's fantastic. I pre-ordered some coins. I've pre-ordered another little promo pack that adds a little more asymmetry to the game, and the next expansion.
Is it the Court of Progress or something?
Yeah. Okay. I think when we interviewed David Turczi mentioned that they have tons of Nucleum expansions.
Yeah, he
coming.
did. He did mention that. They've got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and so I'm just excited for this. We've got to get this played. It's got 2 of our... You guys love Luciani and Turczi.
Yes.
Yep. We need to get this played. It's a fantastic game. It's my number 1. I love it, love it, love it.
I knew you liked this game. I didn't know you liked it that much.
So, yeah, I didn't.
And like,
I mean, it had. We had like a thing days since last Nucleum reference
mentioned
thing
it like
going.
2 episodes.
Right. So I knew that he liked it, but I didn't know. Yeah, I'm with you, Tyson. I didn't know it had risen to #1 status.
but I mean, like, I'm just looking at all of our top 5 right now, and I've never played Lorcana. I've never played Tiletum. I've never played Dune Imperium Uprising. I've never played Undaunted Stalingrad, and I've never played Nucleum.
That's crazy.
So, of all of it, like between us, I haven't played 5 of the top 5 games that you guys have mentioned.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's
I would
crazy.
love to experience. Obviously, these are fantastic games, and we have similar tastes. We have a lot of overlap between all of us, but like, if I haven't played 5 of those games, like, I don't know what's going on. I need to play these games.
Yeah, you do. I agree. Yeah, and we definitely need to get Nucleum played for sure.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There are so many games on all 3 of these lists that it's good that we have a Cabin Con coming up.
Yes, like 3 full days of gaming.
And hopefully Tyson's going to come.
I'm trying to make sure I can swing it.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Because
we can get all of these played.
I would love to.
We could play Voidfall once, and that would take up like
Half the day.
half a day. Yeah.
Yes.
No new players. You're not allowed to play. Sit down at the table and play Voidfall if you've not played it before.
Yes. So it's going to be us 3.
That might hurt some feelings, but
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah.
They could play it again. It could be played again that weekend if they want to learn it.
Yeah, I'll set that one out. I am not. I don't want to play it with new players. I just don't.
That's the funny thing about. We didn't talk about this. That's the funny thing about Voidfall. I think I only will play it with you guys.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think Logan's played it a few times.
Logan's played it, yeah.
So the 3 of us and Logan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or anybody else that independently learns it on their own.
And has played it, not just reads the rules.
It is
Because, like,
fair to learn.
even reading
Yes.
the rules, it's
Yes.
a process.
It is interesting to me. Like, I look at Voidfall complexity on BGG, and it's a 4.63. Nucleum's a 4.13, and feels extremely easier to play. And I don't know, like 4.13, 4.63, I feel like they should be closer in complexity. I don't feel that way at all. I feel like Nucleum is more towards Teo or not Tiletum.
Darwin's Journey.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
It surprises me that they have Nucleum over 4. But yeah, these games, we got to get them played more, got to get it done, have less surgeries, and get more game nights. And
less jobs, less just life getting in the way.
Right?
Yeah, I know. Why can't we just play games all the time? All these priorities we have.
Yes. Dang priorities.
Oh, man. But that's why Cabin Con's so fun, right? It's
Yeah, it is,
Like
'cause
you
we
leave everything for 3 days and just play games.
Yep.
So you don't get to do that very often.
No.
This whole adulting thing
Right.
doesn't lend itself to that.
Right.
Yeah. And talking about these lists, like, makes me super excited to get to them. I love playing new games. Like, I love being exposed to new things. But, like, going through some of our favorite games just makes me so excited to play what we have, and being able to look back and think of all the memories I've made with existing games and just want to continue, like, experiencing those. I think that's fantastic.
I needed this episode. I've been a little apathetic towards board gaming lately. Kevin and we had a big game night the other night, and everybody else left.
I wasn't sleeping anyway, so it's like, okay, I'm going to stick around and let's play something.
And we played the deluxe version of Teo until like 1:30 in the morning.
It was
awesome. It
was
was
fun.
so good.
Yeah.
And so I want those experiences. I want to get back to some of the games that we've played a ton and that we love, that are on the tops of these lists, and just get them to the table again, because it kind of rejuvenates you sometimes when you need that a little bit.
That's how I felt. Like, the start of 2024 has, like, I've had a lot of stuff going on, and so I hadn't had a lot of game played until the last few months. And getting games played that I know I love has been part of that cure for that, right? Like finding the time to play them because I know I love them, right? And so I would love to continue that streak. I'd love to play new games as well, but there's a lot of these games. This just makes me excited to play these games in particular.
Yeah, not having to go through some of the rules overhead,
Yes.
which can be a little bit of a slog for learning a new game. I'm looking at you, Deep Shelf.
Yeah.
Like going back to a game that you just know back and forth, like backwards and forwards, and you just get into it and start playing. That's why Teo was so fun, is because we know that game. And we know exactly how it works.
Oh, it was so good.
There's a little bit of, okay, we played so much on BGA. How does it work actually? There's a little bit of that, but not much.
It came back pretty quick,
It came
though.
back quick, and it was just super.
It was
fun.
more just the setup part that gets handled so easily.
Well, even
Exactly.
Pulsar, right? We had to do when we
Love
sat
that.
down to play Pulsar again. We had to do a rules review,
Just a
but it
quick
was
refresh.
like 15 minutes tops, and
Yep.
got back into it, and it came right back, and it was a lot easier than having to go through a 45-minute hour rules learn, or like you mentioned Deep Shelf, Kevin, both you and I had to go read the rules independently and then play that.
And then reread the rules when we
them
got together.
as we were at the table, right? Like that's a different experience altogether.
It was fun,
It was rewarding in the end.
but not quite as fun as maybe maybe a game that we knew already.
Yeah.
So I agree. Let's get some of these played. 51st State. I mean, got to play that one some more.
Absolutely.
All these games that we've talked about. It's been a fun episode.
Yeah, it has.
It's been awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Until 6 months from now when we update our top 50.
No, not going to do it.
Maybe in a year or two again.
I mean, I could see doing this annually. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not upset that it took us, when did we do our last top
It's
30?
almost 2 years, right?
It's been
I
about
think
2 years,
so.
right?
And I don't mind that either, because you look at it, you look at the top 10, and most of my top 10 remained the same. There were two new additions to my top. Well, there were a couple new additions to my top 10, but there were none that were new. There were only two new ones to the list altogether.
Okay. I had 5 new in my top 10. Yeah, new to the list altogether.
So you're just fickle, is what I'm hearing. Is that you just
No, they're fantastic games. What Lorcana, like Undaunted Stalingrad, 51st State.
I had 3.5 new ones. Nucleum, Tiletum, Voidfall. And then half is Dune,
Uprising.
Imperium, Uprising.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll give you the
I mean,
half
it
on that
was
one.
outside my top 10, the base game last time. But
Yeah.
did anything fall off your guys' list completely? Carnegie fell off my list completely.
Let's see. Azul jumped down. Concordia was just barely out of it for me.
Wonderland's Ward fell off my. It was 14 last time we did. It was 51, but it fell off.
Tyrants of the Underdark fell off for me. I haven't played it forever.
Yeah. Seven Wonders fell off for me. I mean, I just barely didn't make it. Seven Wonders Duel was still on there.
Yeah.
Legendary Marvel deck building game. That game's so fun. But that fell off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how our lists have changed over that time, and it was also interesting expanding it from 30 to 50. But
Yeah, and maybe next time we do top 75. I don't know.
I could have easily done top 100.
I could have as well.
I don't know that I want to spend that much time on those bottom 50, but easily could.
Well, maybe-
There's just so many good games.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could almost post these in the show notes or something like that with the top 100 or something, maybe, or do
Or on
something
our
else.
Discord. Yeah. Join our Discord.
I have loved seeing people's top 50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that they've
it's
posted
been
on
really
the
cool.
Discord. I think that has been just super fun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if you haven't done it and you're on our Discord, post your top 50. It would be awesome to see.
I'm not mentioning John. I'm biting my tongue.
Why?
John put number 12 as Lord of the Rings Journey Through Middle-earth.
Oh, I mean, I get it. I think
did too.
we are in the minority.
I
And
totally
you mentioned
agree.
that,
I
right?
totally
think we're in the minority
I
on that
think
one.
I would like to go back to that one. Did you get rid of it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I didn't think there was any chance anybody would want to go back to that after our experience, right?
Logan has a job now. He would have bought it from you, but back then he didn't.
And you would have let him.
No, but it was such a slog and so slow.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was us as a minority. Like, we didn't like it. It just didn't click with us for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, it's a very highly rated game,
Yeah.
right? And it's in the Lord of the Rings universe, and that's a very popular IP. So
Popular that each title of the game has to have like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's every Lord of the Rings game. For example, they just announced the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, trick-taking game.
What? I hadn't heard this.
Yeah. It's
Like today? Or
this is this week, within the last
Yeah,
week or two.
it's been the last, I think, 2 or 3 days. I saw it. It was on BGG. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
what's
being
the
compared.
Seven Wonders Duel one called? Lord of the Rings, Seven Wonders Duel.
Lord of the Rings, Seven Wonders, Duel, Game of Dueling.
Fight for over Middle Earth and
And are they going to make it to Mount Doom to destroy the ring game? Yeah.
Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. That's pretty,
that's pretty good.
Pretty abbreviated.
That is pretty abbreviated.
for Lord of the Rings games.
Like, how do I know what the game's about? I'm not buying that for sure.
I pre-ordered it. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I'll sleeve this one because I didn't sleeve Seven Wonders Duel and I've regretted it ever since.
Always sleeve.
The Lord of the Rings, the card game, The Hobbit, Overhill, and Underhill.
That is not
Another-
a game.
That is a game.
You are lying.
I just looked that one up.
When did that one come out?
That came out in 2012.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are they all collaborating on these names? Because
Who could make the longest Lord of the Rings name
Yeah.
game?
Gandalf and his fireworks show up in Hobbiton.
It's like they're trying to throw a tribute to J.R.R. Tolkien describing the leaves and
Lothlorien.
yeah,
or wherever.
yeah.
yeah. Well done, game namers. Whoever you are out there.
Awesome. I think that wraps up our top 50 of all time. Until next time,
Goodbye.
See you later.
tot ziens.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you want more Longest Turn in your life, please check us out on Instagram. Also, be sure to check us out on Board Game Geek, where you can join our guild, Guild 3947, and check out our blog, where we post all our show notes and occasionally post more detailed reviews. If that's not enough for you, we have a Discord server. If you want to play a game with us on Board Game Arena, join our Board Game Arena group, The Longest Turn. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Tot ziens.
Goodbye.
See you later.
There's like a giant pair of tweezers. They're like this long. It's like my feeding tongs. So I grab the tails with it and like you shake them. And then even after he grabs it, I kind of like yank it back and stuff. Like
Make it.
Like it's trying to get away.
Simulate.
Yeah.
I need him to feel like he killed it.
Yeah. He's a glorified.
You domesticated the crap out of that beautiful, majestic creature.
Good job, buddy.
Who's a good boy? Yeah.
You're not emasculated at all. I saw a mouse in my office the other day. You want me to catch it? And
She just brought it in.
Bring it.
Throw that in the freezer.
you want a fresh one?